There aren't many times where I will sit here and say that a reboot or remake was so much better than the original, but in the case of The Running Man, yeah, this is one of those times where I will say that. So The Running Man starring Glenn Powell is actually a reboot or remake, depending on who you are and how you want to say it, of the 1987 version of the same name starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, which actually is a book originally written by Stephen King. So it's a book, then a movie, then a movie. There might have been other things in there as well. The plot of the 1987 version of The Running Man is that a man was framed for committing some crimes and he has to compete in a game show called The Running Man. The premise of the game show is that the competitors have to survive against stalkers who are out to hunt them down and send them to their maker. Arnold's character obviously survives and he ends up being the face of a revolution that ends up fighting the elitist ways of corruption. Honestly, the movie itself is fairly simple. It is from the 80s, so the technology is not the same as it is now, obviously. But I watched it before and I enjoyed it then, and I watched it again recently and I was like, damn, it actually isn't that good. I'm not gonna sit here and say that it was a horrible watch, because it's not. In fact, if you just want to be able to chill and not be drawn into this complex world, then yeah, I would say it here and say that, hey, watch 1987's The Running Man. But if you want something that's like really intense, don't watch 1987's Running Man. But you're not here to listen to me yap about what happened in the 1987's The Running Man. You want to know what happens in the 2025's The Running Man. So let's talk about that. Glenn Powell stars in The Running Man as a father to a sick daughter because the company that he works for is polluting the planet. And when he tries to be a whistleblower, they fire him. You know how it goes, profit over health. The best way for him to make money fast, move his family out of the slums, and ensure that his daughter gets the medical supplies that she needs is to join a game show. And he chooses the game that offers $1 billion, The Running Man. Here's my thing. There's a lot that I really did enjoy about this film. I just had a hard time believing Glenn Powell for a decent amount of the film. A lot of the times it felt like he drew inspiration from Tom Cruise, and it almost felt like he was trying too hard to emulate Cruise, and it felt a little weird and a little forced. Any time where he's running, which happens a decent amount of times because it's literally called The Running Man, all I could see is Tom Cruise doing his infamous run. You know the one. Honestly, the first bit of the film, the setup, if you will, was kind of hard to digest because of how forced and how rushed it was to get to the meat of the actual movie. Yeah, they did set the tone as to why this guy needs to join the game, but honestly, I felt like the emotional scenes just weren't as impactful as what I was expecting them to be. But at the same time, all of that didn't really matter when the chaos started to take fruit and The Running Man became a really enjoyable thrill ride. This is so much more chaotic and action-packed than the 1987 version. I loved how they kept the major themes of corporate and governmental greed alive while also upping the stakes. Overall, I have to say that this version of The Running Man is so much more enticing than the 1987 version of The Running Man. The acting wasn't my favorite in the beginning, but because it became more of an action film in the middle and the ending, I was like, you know what? It is what it is. But I'm curious, have you seen it? And if you have, what did you think of it? Let's get the conversations rolling. And yeah, that's about it.